Hello everyone, how are we all doing? Welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. Today's video is a collab with the lovely IzuAurora. We wanted to do a build collab where we each made a shell for the other in a style different to what we're used to, because I usually build very traditional family homes, whereas she does a lot more modern and open plan builds. So the shell that you're actually watching me build now is what I've built for her. And if you'd like to finish watching the shell creation and also see how Izu has transformed it, go ahead over to her channel and check it out. Her links are all in the description so you can see what she did with my build. I am also very excited to see how she has transformed this home. It was quite a big project and I'm very intrigued. But before I start working on the renovations of my modern home, I wanted to show you Izu building the shell, and she will also talk you through her building process. So I will be back shortly and I hope you enjoy as I pass over to Izu.
Hey guys, I am Izu and I'm so excited and so honored to be featured on G's channel. I am so excited to show you what I came up with. I am more of a modern builder, so I thought it would be fun to build something out of G's comfort zone and let her furnish a very modern open plan family home. I went with a very monochromatic, very simplistic style and color choices, and I had so much fun building this house. But it was also a challenge for me since we did agree to only use certain packs, and that should apply to building process as well, of course. So I wasn't allowed to use some of the stuff that I normally use, and I didn't even realize how many different packs I normally use while building. Obviously with furnishing that's obvious, but I didn't realize how much that affected my building as well. I do have to say that I did kind of, well, technically cheat on this one, and I apologize for that. You will see that I'm building a staircase in the middle of the house and making it like open around it, like a, I don't know if what it's actually called, but like a lookout, like you can look from the upstairs to the downstairs and there's nothing around the staircase. You will see that when that comes up. You cannot build that in The Sims. It's not possible to get rid of just specific floor tiles. You just have to get rid of the whole floor in one room, otherwise it's not possible. So you have to make rooms around the staircase, and for that not to look funny, I used the smallest, tiniest fence that we have in the game, and I think that comes in City Living. I could be wrong, but at least it's not a pack that was allowed technically for this build. So I apologize that I kind of bent the rules with that, but it is purely for creative choices because I really wanted to add this lookout section for the build. I think it's a very not important. There are open plan living without these kind of open staircases, but I think it really pulled the inside of the build together, and so I decided to do that, even though technically it is cheating, so I'm sorry. But I had so much fun building this and I'm so excited to see what G does with it. And now I will also have a house to furnish. G went ahead and built a very traditional family house. Her build will be on my channel and I will do the furnishing. So if you want to see that, you can see that on my channel. And thank you again for having me on this channel. This was so much fun and I loved this collab. I hope you have fun watching the rest of the video and have a good day. Bye!
We're back to me now, and I started by just doing a little bit of landscaping at the front of the house. Nothing too crazy, just my usual, honestly. As there was like a little section that fit it perfectly, so like a couple of bushes and a few flowers and stuff just to kind of fill the area. And also something I realised, I can't remember if it was mentioned or not, but we did agree that we could only use one expansion pack, one game pack and one stuff pack, and obviously base game to decorate the houses. So for me, the packs that Izu picked were Eco Lifestyle, Spa Day and Moschino, so that everything in this house only uses items from these packs or base game. And this was a little bit of a challenge at first, but I think there were a lot of amazing objects in this pack that I was able to use, and because they're very modern packs. There's a few items that I would never use normally because I don't usually build modern, so it's quite a nice opportunity to actually use these items. There are a few things that I did miss from other packs though. The main one actually being the closets from Get Together. I absolutely adore them. And I just think they're so nice and they fit like areas really nicely. Like there was a few spaces where I wish I could have put them and they would have fit the area really, really well. Mostly to fill space because I just hate empty spaces, but obviously I couldn't use them in this build. So instead I had to find something else to use to fill the space, and a couple of times I actually like closed off areas that I couldn't think of anything to put there. So I just kind of closed them off instead. But there was also the vanity table that comes with Vintage Glamour. I would have loved to have put that in the downstairs bedroom. It would have been absolutely perfect, but obviously again, I couldn't. So instead I just made my own using a regular desk and then full-length mirrors behind. I think it looks good. I think I did well, but it would be nice to have an actual vanity table. But the one main thing that I did really struggle with is the lack of plants. There were quite a lot of options, but there weren't many that looked good or fit the spaces that I needed them to. And I don't really like to reuse the same plants in builds, which is probably on me. I could probably reuse plants, but I don't like to do this. But in the end, I do think I did the best that I could. But it was a real task finding ones that I actually did like. When it came to doing the actual interior of the house, the main thing that I was very unsure of was the actual layout, because I just cannot get my head around open plan houses. Like, I really like how they look, I just cannot do it myself. I think I did all right in the end, but I think if I were to build my own shell, I would just be so lost. But because the room layout was already there and I couldn't change any of it, I think it kind of forced me to use the space that I had. And I do think I did a good job. I hope I did a good job. I do like what I had in the end, but yeah, it was a struggle. And I did want to go with quite a monochromatic black and white with only touches and splashes of colours in the aesthetic. So you can see that quite a bit in the downstairs. Like, most of it's black and white, and then there's splashes of red or splashes of yellow and things like that, and I quite like that. I feel like it's very modern. Considering the actual size of the house, the kitchen space isn't actually massive, but I do really like what I did. I'm not sure if this is the area that Izu intended for the kitchen to go in, to be honest. I don't know if it's any of it's the areas she'd intended, but I did the best that I could, and I do like the kitchen. I quite like all of the rooms and all of the house actually. Obviously I had to use all my favourite clutter items, but again, there were just so many from other packs that I couldn't use. But I do feel like, you know, it's still complete, and I really like the little breakfast bar, which I also don't always add to my builds, so I think it's really nice, and again, it just fills that empty space that I'm so afraid of. And the dining room is kind of just your generic dining space with nothing too interesting, to be honest. I think it fits the home nicely. One thing that I did struggle with though was finding a nice bookshelf to go there, because I wanted something at the back of the room that again like kind of filled the wall without it being like a big painting or anything. So I thought a bookshelf would be nice, maybe it's like full of cookbooks and everything. But yeah, I struggled to find a nice one that the wood tones would match the rest of the furnishings. But the one I went for in the end, I quite like it. I think it's nice with a little plant next to it as well. The living space was so tricky. I really didn't know where to put the sofa or the TV or anything, and this is why I usually have it in its own separate room. But I think I managed it in the end, and I like to think I made it work nicely and filled the space well. It's kind of just like in the middle of the room, but I think it's nice. I think it works. I think this is how you do a modern open plan room. And I really love the Moschino rug, and I wanted to make sure I used it, and also the little coffee table. I think they work really nicely with the space. Honestly, I think my main issue is that I just love to clutter and fill all the spaces, which I just find so tricky when there's so much empty space in big rooms. This is why I close off all my rooms so that there's like walls and you can put things against the walls, whereas when it's all empty you don't just randomly throw something in the middle of the room. So that is where I struggled most, but I think I made it work. I'm saying this a lot. I need the reassurance, okay? I need the reassurance that I did a good job. I think I did, but I don't know enough about these sort of builds. But also in the downstairs space, there's like this perfect little nook for a desk and a computer. So I decided to add that. And to the left of this area, I also added like an easel and an art area, which kind of inspired me to start thinking about who would actually live in this house. Up until this point, I was just building, but then at this point I thought, actually, who could live here? And then it helped me kind of personalize the other rooms a little bit. So I like to imagine that it's a woman who is in her late 30s, maybe early 40s, who is an artist, and she just has so many creative hobbies, hence the easel. I wish I'd thought to add camera equipment as well, so that she could also be a photographer and not just like gym painting for hobbies, but I didn't think to add the camera at the time. So she just does art in her free time. But for her actual career, I like to think she's an interior designer, like a really successful one who decorates homes for celebrities and really wealthy people, which is why she can afford the big lavish home herself. And I do also like to think that she is a single mum who has 2 children, and the children rooms are upstairs, whereas her room is downstairs. I feel like she's not a super cozy or maternal mum, and she's more of like a practical mum who tries to help her children kind of be the best that they can be, if that makes sense. Like, she does obviously love them and care for them a lot. She's not like a distant parent figure or anything, but I feel like she in herself is a lot more career driven as opposed to family driven. But she's not like cold, and she's not a bad mum. She just has other sort of like instincts and goals and things like that. And she wants her children to kind of be the best that they can be. And she has a teenage son and a child daughter, and I feel like the daughter is just like her mum, who is very goal-oriented and ambitious, especially ambitious for a 10-year-old. She is also wanting to be the absolute best, be in the top of her class, and she is always doing loads of different like extracurricular activities, but her passions are also very creative. She's just like her mum's double. But instead of doing like the physical art and painting like her mum does, she's more like musical. So I have put a violin in her bedroom upstairs, but there is also a piano on the landing, which I feel like this is where she thrives and this is her favourite thing. And she's like a little pianist, and she enjoys playing her like classical pieces at concerts and stuff, and she's, I don't know, I feel like I could just picture her playing the piano. But then there is the older brother, the teenage son, who is just the polar opposite to his mum and sister, and I feel like he's just a lot more laid back and relaxed. And he doesn't really care to be perfect or the best. He just kind of gets on, has fun, he wants to be happy. He doesn't want to be the best, he just wants to be happy. He's not like a bad student or bad at anything like that. He's not stand out in that sense. He just blends in a lot more, I think. And I don't think he minds this. I don't think he wants to stand out. I imagine he's a lot more sociable, and he always wants to spend time with his friends, and he would just rather go with the flow. He's more of a type B personality, where his mum and sister are definitely type A. After talking about this family as well, I kind of want to make them, but I don't really have time for that. But if you are interested, I mean, feel free to make a family for this house. You can use my guidance, or you can create your own family, and I'll even post the home on the gallery if you would also like to use it yourself. So you could make the family that I have described, and you could put them in this house and play it, or you could create your own Sims and have your own ideas and pop them in there and just do whatever you want. But if you do end up using this house, do let me know, because I would love to see, and I'd love to know if you do create Sims for this house that I've described, but don't feel like you have to. This is just kind of what helped me decorate the house, and it really helped me kind of have an idea of where I wanted it to go when I knew who lived there. I'm not really sure what else there is to say about the build now, but I hope you have enjoyed watching the speed build so far, and I hope you've enjoyed my ramblings. Once again, I get way too into all of this. But anyway, I will say goodbye now. Make sure you stick around to the end for the finishing screenshots. And as I said before, make sure to go check out Izu's video where she has renovated the shell that I created for her. I am dying to see what she has done with this space. Again, while I was building the shell, I was thinking, I'd really like to renovate this, but it is such a big project. And again, I'm so sorry, Izu, but I hope you enjoyed building it. I had a lot of fun with this collab. I enjoyed doing the modern style more than I anticipated. I don't know how often I will do it because it was tricky, and I don't think I could build my own house or shell for it, but I did enjoy the style, and it was a lot of fun to kind of, you know, push myself and do something I'm not completely used to. Thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like and comment down below and let me know what you think. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It would mean so much to me, and I will speak to you all in another video. Bye everyone!